Ladies and gentlemen, grab your tea and get ready for Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and so relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tea Talk. I'm Lady O, and I'm happy to greet you today. We have a wonderful, wonderful show for you. So listen, go ahead and share this with someone else on another one of your pages or with somebody that is, after we get through the title, let me tell you the title first, and then you will definitely want to know who to contact. And pretty much it's everybody. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about starting your own business? I know I have many times growing up as a little girl, I thought I want to own my own business. And especially when I started working in the workforce as a young girl, and everybody's telling you what to do. And you got these supervisors. It's like, I want to be my own boss woman. I want to start my own business. Or maybe you thought about from your church or from just your entrepreneur position of starting a 501c3. Well, our guest today is going to talk to you and give you all the information that you need to really do it right and go ahead and give you the courage to start that business or to start that 501c3 the right way. So go ahead and start sharing with some of your friends who have businesses and they are not running it the right way. They need some help or they're thinking about it. And even if they're not, I always like to tell people you need to have this information in case you ever do decide you want to do it or you want to partner with somebody. So you will do it the right way. You will be successful and you won't get into any trouble with IRS if you know what our guest is going to be teaching you today. So like I said, go ahead and have some other people sign on. Let them know that they need to see this. They need to be able to help. Even your churches. Some of your churches are wanting to start 501c3s. And they've got the one for the church, but they need to start a nonprofit that is community oriented. Well, this is the place that you need to be where you can learn all that. So let me go ahead and introduce our guest for today. She is phenomenal. I mean, I believe God called her to this as I have known her for many, many years. Too many years to talk about because then we'll start to date ourselves and tell you how young we are, right? We're not about to do that. But anyway, she's none other than Chris King, a very, very wonderful person and dear friend, as well as one of the members of First Metropolitan Church. And she has been there for a long time. And since I've known her, her whole thing has been about starting businesses. And she is an entrepreneur, very creative and smart, talented, and she's generous. That's the other thing. She's so generous with herself and her knowledge that she wants to help. So she's a teacher. She has not only started her own businesses, and I'll let her tell you about them, but she's also great with accounting and numbers, which I am great with being creative, but numbers I'm not. She is. She knows a lot about the law with the state of Texas. So, and some other states as well. And she's had some companies in other states, but she's just one that's always starting something new, and she has perfected it and started another business of advising and helping other people with helping them get started. She has worked for the Small Business Association and helped so many people. So without further ado, I want her to introduce herself by telling us more. So let's welcome Chris King to Tea Talk. Hello, Miss Chris. Welcome to Tea Talk. I'm so happy and honored that we finally got you on here. We've been trying to get you on here, about a year? And the times kept not jiving with us, but welcome. Tell us about yourself and what you're doing.
Thank you for having me. Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. First of all, I've been with First Met when they first moved into the new, the location they're at now. So 1999, something like that.
98, I think
98, yeah. Sent by Pastor Stevenson when he took a pastorship in San Antonio. and I've been there since. Yes. So, and when I came there, I was at the airport, and I had just went into my business ventures then. I opened some small bar and grills in small airports, Tyler and Texas A&M, and Beaumont, the Golden Triangle, and then a franchise in San Antonio Airport, Popeyes. But unfortunately, 911 took me out of the game because the small airports couldn't sustain us. So I switched over to using my trade that I am already skilled in, is accounting. So I went into nonprofit with Northwest Assistance Ministry, and I was there for a while as their grant accountant, and then went over to Small Business Development Center as a business advisor. And the whole time I had my business on the side, and I still have it. And now I'm an instructor, a professor at Lone Star, and I do my business on the side. But I share all that with you to say, I take everything that I learned and I like to share it with everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love it too, because you are a multitasker. See, I'm like that too. I just can't do one thing. People say you're doing too many things, but God has gifted me in so many ways. And I am wanting to channel it down so I can focus on just one or two. So I'm asking God to do that for me this year, because as you know, I want to perfect my business and get all of my paperwork and stuff in order, as you have tried to encourage me to do. So I appreciate you for hanging in there with me. But let's talk about business, okay? So you have learned a lot, okay? With all of the businesses that you've had, you have learned, and your experiences are great and vast. So tell me, first of all, why is it important, or why do you think it's important for us to know about having a business, or even to be thinking about having our own business?
Well, first of all, it's important to want, if it's in your heart to want to, passion to have your own business, then yes, go for it. My mother was an entrepreneur. She had her own business on the southwest side of town, a little boutique. And that's how I grew up. She was at West Belford and Willow Bend.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it was a little shop. She did wedding dresses, and I helped her get the HISD contracts for drill teams. She did the costumes for the Jewish Community Center.
That was your mom?
Mm-hmm. Curtains for Howard Johnson, because she did draperies. She was the first interior designer, that black one that Penny's hired when they had an interior designer. So
my mom too. You got it from your mom. See, my mom had a cake business, and she made wedding cakes that were as tall as me. And on the side, that was her side business. But she also was a nurse. But she always was thinking and being creative and having her own business. So your mother inspired you to do that.
Yes.
So being a business woman, what advantages does that give you? For being even a Black businesswoman? I know there are a lot of perks and things they give for Black women who want to go in business and who are on their first business.
Yes, there is a lot of perks now for Black women that want to go in business. In the beginning, it wasn't. I remember the challenges my mother had to go through. What she had to do to learn to play the game, so that she can get those contracts, how much it cost her, how she always had to prove herself. But the thing is, what I did learn is, at the end of the day, it was my mom putting her stamp on something that she wanted to do. And that is what I learned from her and then also she created jobs. See, when you're a true business owner, and after you get it and you start going into business, then you learn that your responsibility is to create jobs and put income and everything else back into the community. Because when you start pouring into the community, they pour it back into you.
Right. And that's so important, because, and that's one of the reasons why I really want to get mine going and move it to the next level, is because I think we should all leave a legacy of something here that says, this is my stamp, this is my brand, this is what God called me to do. I did it, and I did it well, and I'm leaving it for someone else to have jobs and to take the next tier. But I just really think it's just sad sometimes when kids don't take on their family businesses and things, and that you do all that work and then want to hand it off, and there's nobody to hand it off to. So let's I think that kind of moves us into how do we structure this business plan or this 501c3 correctly so that we can do those kind of things and leave a good legacy from our business. So I know you've got some presentations for us, and we want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to be quiet and just ask questions. So why don't you go ahead and take it away with your PowerPoint, and that's going to answer a lot of our other questions.
Okay. So we're going to talk about starting a non-business. And when you start a non-business, a nonprofit business, it's still a business. A lot of people don't realize that. So we're going to cover today. There's a lot we're going to cover. Try to get through it because I'm going to ask questions in between. And Lady, I'm sure you will tell me when time is up.
Okay.
But the slides will be available. So if we don't get through it, you'll have a point of reference. Okay. So today we're going to talk about what is a nonprofit, the difference in a nonprofit, and then also identifying the needs, the passion that you have, if it aligns with the needs of the community. We're going to also tell you that you have to be able to clarify your purpose of your nonprofit or your business, your passion, and then put it in a business plan. Then build your team. That's very important. Don't do it by yourself. Build your team. Determine if you're going to have a board. Now, if you're a nonprofit, you need to determine if you're going to have a working board or governing board. But if you're a small business, you need to surround yourself and create a board. People that are on board with you to help you grow your business. In a nonprofit, you need to differentiate between a board versus a staff. Finally, you register with the state and then the IRS.
Okay.
From there, you draft a fundraising business plan. And that's, a fundraising plan based on your business plan. And that's important. So you're not all over the place, trying to get everything. Okay.
Let me make sure I'm following you right. So now, because this is something you can start a business with or start a 501c3.
Yes.
You can start both of these from this information that you're giving us. So you don't need to be having a business and you don't have a business plan or a 501c3 information.
Right.
And so once we get through with the information you're giving us, we can go either way to start. Go ahead and start the business with it or start a 501c3.
Yes,
from
you
this.
can.
Okay.
Because what you can do if you're a business first, and I'll give you an example. I'm the treasurer of the Tomball Farmers Market and have been for 15 years. And we were a business. We converted to a nonprofit. Okay. And so being that we set up everything, we didn't have to go back and start over. We just converted and was able to use our articles for that.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm sure you're going to probably let us know, but I know there's a lot of benefits of having, some people start a business and they don't know that there are a lot of more benefits along the way if you have it underneath a nonprofit as opposed to a business with the taxes and all of the fees and so forth. So that's really important, whether it's a business or nonprofit. And
yes,
you might decide you want to do the nonprofit because you can still make money from a nonprofit, right?
Yes, if it's applicable. Okay, because some things can't be converted to a nonprofit.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to set up shop and we're going to outline the cost of the programs for your nonprofit. Going to make sure you're in compliance. Okay. And then I'll provide some references.
Okay.
So let's start with, first of all, what is a nonprofit? Okay. So a nonprofit is a non-business entity. And a lot of people think when you say nonprofit, they think it's 501c3, but not necessarily. There's a not-for-profit organization. There's a nonprofit institution. Okay. The benefits of being a nonprofit is, of course, the tax exemption that Lady O was talking about, status that you get from the IRS. But you can be a nonprofit or a not-for-profit. And if you have not applied for that tax exemption from the IRS, you're just a nonprofit that doesn't get the tax exemption. And we'll go into that later. Okay. It's very important. It's a lot of papers you have to file to get to that status. Okay. But the bottom line is nonprofit businesses are focused on a mission. They have a social cause, a shared goal, or a mission. Okay. They're not operating to make a profit, but they do make a profit. There's a difference. They're not operating to make a profit, but they do make a profit. It's what they do with the profit afterwards. Okay. Okay. So then there's the different types of nonprofit. There's, when you go to irs.gov, there's the 501c, and then it breaks it down. The not-for-profit organizations exist for private focus groups, such as Black Lives Matter, the Homeowners Association, Interfaith Chapel Ministry. Well, no, that's not. Labor unions, okay? Chambers of Commerce, some childcare related organizations, or different 501. As you can see, there's a 501c5, 501c6. They get these tax exemptions, but a different way, okay? So they have to apply differently. The difference in the 501c3, though, is that it's a nonprofit that's divided into two main types: a nonprofit organization as a charitable or as a public foundation. Okay. I'm sorry, next slide. As a charitable organization, there's the public charities like RCDC, but then you might find out that Shell has a foundation. Okay. They fall under a different nonprofit. They're public foundation, whereas RCDC is a public charity. Okay. Their goal is the same though. It supports the general public and organizations and government organizations is tax deductible donations. But the difference is foundation give grants. Okay. And nonprofits, we receive from charities and government and public and private sectors. Okay.
Okay, let me make sure I got the right. So the foundations give the money out.
Yes, they distribute.
But,
yes.
To charities, and charities distribute it to whatever it is that their purpose and goals are for helping people. Okay, is that kind of right?
Yeah, a perfect example is, okay, the pandemic. All of a sudden you saw Verizon and FedEx and all of these helping small businesses. Okay. And they was giving these grants out. Right. They was doing it through their foundation. Okay. Exxon, I can't think of some of the ones that were coming on TV, but y'all remember all of them. You could just get on and get from any of these major international and national corporations were giving out this money. And even Lowe's gave out money. And when you get the money, you will see, because I did have a couple clients get money from Lowe's, 10 and 20,000. It would say when they signed off on the grant, it was from the Lowe's Foundation. You see, instead of the corporation. And that's how they have their tax deduct. They're doing their part. Okay.
Right.
And they earmark so much of that. Okay. To do that. Does anybody have any, Lady O, that was a good question.
Okay, good. Good. I think we're good. Nobody has any questions yet. Go ahead.
Okay.
If you have questions, put them in the chat, guide, and we'll get them for you. But I don't see any yet. Go ahead.
Okay. So when you identify the need that matches your passion, the thing that comes to mind, I don't know how many of you are from Houston way back when, but there used to be a lady that wanted to feed children. So she made these sack lunches.
Yes, I remember.
Okay. It was called Kid Care. Okay.
Yes.
That was her passion. Now she had to check around. She started just doing it. Okay. And she started passing out lunches. And what she did is she met a need in the inner city, because even though there was Houston Food Bank and there was free lunches at school, kids were not being fed in the summer. They were not being fed on the weekend. They were not being fed when they got home, for days off. So she just created a need. And it was a passion.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what you have to do first. If you want to do a nonprofit, you have to see, does anybody else do it? Am I
Okay.
meeting a need? And a lot of times you just give from, like she did it from her own kitchen until
Right.
people started donating. Okay, that's one example. Another one is NAM, Northwest Assistance Ministry. Their mission is to shelter single parents and families in need of shelter. Okay.
Right.
And also to help people out of domestic violence, flee to flight. I think that's what they call it. That's their need, and to help children that are not being medically tended to. And they meet the Northwest community. That's their niche right there.
Right.
And so that's how they align. You have to see where you align. And this applies even in the business too. You got to see, am I meeting a need? And is this a service or a product that people have? Does someone else have it? You have to see who your audience is. What's different in a nonprofit and a business is, in a nonprofit, you have to make sure that it's not other organizations out there doing it, because if there is, then you won't be able to get the nonprofit classifications and everything you need, because there, foundations and the government's already saying, oh, we already have that.
So we're saturated. Yeah.
Right. It's not meeting.
So it's got to be a need. Right.
Yeah,
so
it's not a need.
You got to make sure that need is already been met, already saturated. One example of that is that we used to do the school supply. And, we were doing that before anybody was doing it really big. And then George R. Brown started doing it. These different big nonprofits started doing it. It was like people weren't coming to pick it up, not because there wasn't a need. It was just that somebody else was meeting that need in a bigger way than we were. So we said, okay, let them have it. It's no sense in us opening up and we're packing out maybe 25, 30 backpacks when we got 200 here, and people they're going somewhere else to get something else, a bigger place. Yeah. You got to reevaluate too, make sure you're still relevant.
Yes. And so the easiest way to do that is do a SWOT analysis. You even do a SWOT analysis on your business. And a SWOT analysis is your strengths, your weakness, the opportunities and threats. Now, everybody will say, well, I'm the only one doing this in the whole wide world. No, you're not. Trust me. God blesses so many people with the same gift. It's that some people just don't jump on it and other people do. So you got to make sure that somebody else didn't already jump before you did. Or are they just servicing something over on the east side and you need to service somebody on the north side? So you need to see, do a SWOT
research. Okay.
Research.
So you got to make sure it's a need and research it. Make sure it's not oversaturated.
Right. And then when you find them, check out their strengths and then say, wait, they're not doing this. I can do this. Check out their weakness. Well, they're weak on this, but I'm weak on this, and see how it lines up. And when you finish, you can say, you know what? I thought I could do all of this, but really there's nobody servicing this little bit over here. Right. And that's how it starts.
Okay. Very good. Find your purpose and your mission. Okay, good.
That's right.
Who you're going to serve? What is the need that you offer? That's unique.
Yes.
Okay.
So after you do that, what you've done there is clarify your purpose, clarify your mission. You're able to move forward and start. You know what your purpose is, and why is that important? Because when you get into business or nonprofit business or regular business, there's so many people that are going to come and have their suggestions on what you should do. And if you are not clear on your purpose, you're going to take on whatever they suggest.
All over the place, trying to do everything.
All over the map.
I got it. And not doing anything good, but just doing a little bit of everything because that's what everybody wants. Oh my goodness.
Yes. I got it. And the one thing that comes to mind, and I'll never forget, when I was at the airport in Tyler, this guy came to try to sell me insurance. So he hands me a card and he starts telling me all about his insurance. But he flipped it over and says, but I also do this.
Goodness.
He had a whole different business. Wait a minute, it gets better. He goes out to his car and gets his product when he knew I had a little gift shop. And he starts trying to sell me that. And I'm like, I don't do business with him. He all over the map.
Exactly.
So,
Those are distractions.
Those are distractions. You need to know your purpose so that you can get into writing your business plan. And I know when I say business plan, everybody goes, oh, so
yeah.
Is there any questions before I go on? Because the business.
No, let's go on because of time. We got to. I want to hear about this business plan because that's where I'm stuck.
Okay, so the business plan is something nobody really wants to talk about because they think it's just for putting it together to get a bank loan, get a grant, or get just anything. But let me tell you something. If you write your business plan correctly for a nonprofit or for your business, it will be your guide. It will be your handbook. It will be your resource. And the great thing about a business plan, it's a living business plan. You can edit and change it later. Okay. So to start off,
you need to because things change and needs change.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to edit it.
I see somebody put, why do you need a business plan? I'm so glad you asked that, Shelly, because let me tell you this. Okay. Anybody that knows me at first and met knows that I get lost if I don't have a map. Okay. A business plan with running a business or nonprofit is like riding in the daylight with your headlights on, going down a ditch with no brakes.
No brakes.
Okay.
No direction. You have no direction. No. Where you going? You know when to stop. You just going.
It's that way. And I'm speaking from experience on this. I had surrounded myself when I did my businesses with people that I thought had my best interests. Okay. So they was telling me I didn't need a business plan. If I had a business plan, not just written for the banks, but if I had a business plan when 911 hit at my airports, I know there would have been a different outcome. I would have picked it.
Wow.
I know that.
Right. So long ago, we would say it would be your roadmap. Today, we say a business plan is your GPS.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Got it.
So let me tell you, in the business plan, okay, what is a SWOT analysis again? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Opportunities and threats. Oh, so that's an OT, SWOT. Okay, SWO2. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yes, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so in a business plan, the last thing you write is the executive summary, even though it's the first thing that you see in a business plan. And the reason why it's the last thing you write is in a business plan, your executive summary, is because it's a summary of the entire business plan. And that's the part you can edit. You know, like if you need to take it to the bank, you can edit it. You can put, because the executive summary is going to give you the summary. It's going to tell you who, what, how, and why. Okay.
Okay.
The entire business plan. And if an investor is looking at it, if a contributor for an investor for our bank is looking at it, that's going to give them the information. If a contributor or a donor for a nonprofit is looking at it, it's going to give them the information. Okay. It's going to tell them what you need. Okay.
Okay.
But
well, when you look at that too, if your executive summary tells who, what, when, where, and how, that's a small summary of who they want to get in business with. They're looking at that to see if they want to do I want to give this person a loan? Do I agree with who they are, what they're doing, where they're doing, and how they're doing it? That's what that executive summary. So it's so important to be detailed, but not all over the place with
it. Exactly. And a business. Okay. So an executive summary also, that's a good question. That's a good analogy of it, Lady O, because an executive summary to a bank is going to tell them all of that. But at the bottom, it's going to say, and this is what I need from you. Or to an investor, it says, I am investing this much into my business, but I need this loan, or I need you to sponsor this. And this is how I'm either going to pay it back. And if it's a nonprofit, this is what I'm going to do with it. That's in the executive summary too. Okay. The reason why that is on top is because it's going to give them enough information to decide if they want to turn the page and keep reading.
Exactly. I got it. So if that's not together, they are not going to even read the rest of that stuff.
That's right. Okay. And that's why it's last, because you need to know everything else before you put the executive summary together.
Okay.
Okay. So starting your business plan, it goes back to pulling out your purpose and your SWOT analysis and writing your mission, your vision, and your values.
Okay.
Okay. And if it's a business, it's going to be your mission, your vision, and your values that you want to be the outline for your business. If it's your nonprofit, you want it to be your passion that you want to come through in your mission, vision, and values.
Well, say that again. Wait a minute. Wait.
Okay.
Say that again.
The difference is it's going to out in a business, it's your cultural outline that you want for your business.
Okay.
But when it's a nonprofit, it's your passion.
Okay.
You know, it's still your passion in a business, but there's kind of a difference when you're presenting it to different. We're talking about two different communities you got to present it to. If you're a nonprofit and if you're a business. Okay. So in a nonprofit, I have bolded program, services, and impact. That's not going to be in a business plan. In a business plan, it's going to be products and services.
Okay.
But in a nonprofit, it's your programs, your services that you're offering, and impact. And let me just tell you like this. Okay, so Tomball Farmers Market, our business was to have a market for small farmers and small businesses to be able to come and sell their products and then and sell their products. Okay. Over the years, we developed relationships and everything. So now our programs we're setting up is to be able to go into schools and teach them nutrition and agriculture. Okay. That's our programs. Okay. And also be able to open up the markets to low income so they can buy nutrition at affordable prices. Also open up the markets to the backyard farmers that maybe are low income, but they have a little port and they can come and they can vend at the market and make extra cash. So we're teaching we're teaching enterprise, we're teaching nutrition, we're teaching all of that, social economics, all of that with our new programs. Okay. The impact is we're putting back into the community and we're raising up low income to hopefully middle class. We're educating them. We're also teaching nutrition. Okay. Not nutrition, not going to McDonald's and all that, but how to do nutrition by just some seeds and growing in the backyard and everything. Okay. And how to prepare the foods and all of that stuff, or eat it raw because you're growing it from. So we're teaching all of that.
Right.
So, but in a business, you have products like, okay, my Pampered Sisters, my products, all of my natural handcrafted products that I'm doing. Okay.
That's your business.
That's my business.
Passion. This is about, this is what I do for.
Yes.
And I make it and I sell it.
Yes.
Got it.
So you have to know the difference. Okay. Okay. Unlike, small business in the nonprofit, the last thing is what impact is it going to do? What are you by us doing this? What impact are we doing in the Tomball community? Well, Tomball community encouraged us to get our 501(c) because we're the reason Old Town Tomball has made a comeback. We started out with 5 vendors. I was one of the 5 vendors years ago. Now we have 60 vendors and a waiting list. So we created the people in that community, the Old Town. They love us now. We revitalized it. Okay. So that's the impact. We generated revenue is coming into Old Town Tomball now. And after you have your program, services, impact, it is easy to write your marketing plan because you've already created your brand. And that's the same thing with a business. If you do these things, if you do the homework first, your brand is going to come out while you're putting this together. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you grow, your brand is going to grow.
All right.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
You're doing good. You're doing good. This is good. Keep going. This is good.
So after you do that, you go into after your marketing plan, you go into your operations plan. Why is that important? Let me tell you something, especially in a small business. You got to have a plan when you say, I'm going to work for myself. Okay. I mean, small businesses that say, I don't have to do nothing today. I work for myself. You don't get paid when you don't do anything. Okay. See, the difference between a small business and a small business and having a job with a paycheck is whether you do the job good or bad, but do it okay. You're going to get a check every other week, once a month, or the 15th and 30th.
All right.
Small business. I do not get a check until I close the sale. Nonprofit, you do not get paid until you get the grant or the endowment or the sponsor. So you have to have an operations plan. What are you going to do every day? What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? And see, if you think like this, just straight ahead, just you doing it, what are you going to do when you expand? See, if you stay in that bubble and you don't share or go out and learn from others, you will never grow past what's in front of your nose.
Wow. Say that again now.
If you don't share or go out and learn from others or share what you have, if you stay in that bubble, you will never grow past what's in front of your nose.
Wow. So you just can't get your business together and it's all about, what you want to do and you got it all together, but you don't go out and share it. Is that sharing a part of marketing? Is it a part of learning, researching?
It's a part of learning. It's part of researching. It's a part of just building and growing yourself, and also people learning about your business. Because when you share and you give, okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. My mom, okay. My mom, she was up and down. She was a social butterfly. She was in a strip center. She was up and down the strip. She shared everything she had with others, but they also shared with her. Because she shared with others, the reason why she got the costumes for the Jewish Community Center, all of the events they did, is because the owner of the strip center, he was Jewish. And my mother was always going down and talking to him. He was a CPA. And he started using him and sharing with him, and he started sending business her way. She went down and started sharing with the guy on the end, the washateer. She shared with him, would give him a little business. He started giving her deals told her how to make her draperies when she finised them, steam them so they look pristine, and package them. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's kind of like bordering. That's like way bordering?
Bordering.
Bordering. Back in the day, they used to say, okay, if I had a farm and I raised eggs, and then you raise turnip greens, then I'll give you some of my eggs, you give me some of your turnip greens, or you show me how to grow cabbage or whatever, and I'll show you how to do whatever. But I think too, one of the things that we kind of can waste our time on is having a lot of time spent with people who we're always pouring into and they don't pour anything back. It's not that you want to, tit for tat, but it's like you want to make sure your time is spent with people who can add to or help you, or you can help them, or you can help each other in businesses. And so you want to birds of a feather flock together. So if you hang around people that's hanging out at the bar and you're trying to start a business, you're not going to be able to get anything done. But if they've got a business and y'all can kind of share ideas and things like that.
Yes. And then the other thing is, in setting up your operation plan, if you don't know, don't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know that part. Only thing I know how to do is, like, for instance, if I can say, only thing I know how to do is make soap.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do after that. Okay?
Exactly.
You know,
how
because
to package it or whatever, you need to ask somebody.
Yes. So that's how you make your operation plan from day one. Like, okay, operation plan. Day one, on Mondays, I return all my emails, my phone calls, everything. Tuesday is my manufacturing day. Wednesday is my manufacturing day. Friday, I deliver. Thursdays, I work on my social media. I have a plan. You have to have a plan in anything you do. Okay.
So you have to have a plan. You got to stick to the plan. Now we want to make sure we kind of move it along here.
Yeah.
I don't want to deter you, but I want to make that point very clear, because that's one that I had to look at. You told me you have to, just because you work for yourself, you have to have a schedule, or that time will fly away and you're wasted. So you have to say, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go into the office at a certain time, and I'm going to return my emails on Monday, what you just said. And you have to do that. You cannot be on the phone or on the TV being distracted by other stuff. You are working, even though you're not in somebody else's business. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's key, to make that plan and write it down and stick to that plan.
Right. And on both, on the plans, on all of the plans, marketing plan, operational plan, and financial plan, time is money.
Right.
Even in the nonprofit, time is money. So have a plan. Okay. In nonprofits, your operational plan, you can do a lot of social networking, all of that, but have a plan. If that is not going to lead to something, send an email. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is, I see 18 minutes. Okay. The other thing is, you have to build a team. Okay. You have to build a team, a board of directors. And it's very important that if you don't have nothing else on your board, you have president, secretary, and treasurer. Mm-hmm. Now, the founder, that's you, if you created it, can serve in one of these roles. Okay. Mm-hmm. And also, this is where you need to get an attorney. I'm not an attorney. Okay. You need to get an attorney and help them set up so that the founding member, you, is protected as the business grows. Okay. Mm-hmm. You know, so that as the business grows and more people come on the board and you set up your board, that if they decide it's going a different direction, you still are the founding member, and there's some compensation in there. And I don't know how they word it. I'm not an attorney, but that you're protected because you found it. Okay. Yeah. That's important. Now,
what kind of attorney would that be? Just any kind of attorney? Is a business attorney, or what would they get?
Okay, so on a nonprofit, it's going to be someone that deals with nonprofits. Okay. If it's a business, you're not going to be the founding member. You're going to be the president or the
owner
CEO.
And the CEO, right?
Okay. Right. And so once you do all of that, you get your articles in, you file with the state. Okay. Hold on, I don't want to get ahead of myself. The founding member should also be stated on a 1023 if it's a 501c3. That's very important.
The founding member must be on there. And this is really, really important. We're kind of moving fast, guys, but when you found an organization, just know when you get a board together, if you get the wrong people on that board, they can vote you out and take over your board. Okay.
And I've seen that happen.
And it almost happened to us. So that's very important that you put in the articles or somewhere in there how to protect that founding members so that it will not be stolen away from you. Right. Somebody on the board, an evil gets on there and starts talking against you and they vote you out.
Yes.
So you got to be so careful how you set that board up to protect. So that's well worth it to get that written, someone to write that in your bylaws and things.
Yes. So when you're building your team, next thing you do is, after you build your team, you determine your board. Is it going to be a governing board or a working board? You don't have a board like that in a business. You're just going to have a board, a president, a secretary, treasurer, and all that. But in a nonprofit, you have to decide if you're going to have a governing board and a working board. Now, most nonprofits start off with a working board, and then when they grow, they have two boards. They have a governing board, which sometimes they call an executive board, and they have a working board. Okay. And it's just like it sounds. The working board is going to do all the actual work of running the nonprofit. And that's usually in the beginning what happens, because you're contributing your time, because you believe in the passion and the mission and everything. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going a little fast. I want to try to get as much covered before we get off.
No, this is really important here that you're saying here, because I think the setup of the board is very important, because that's who runs the board. And a lot of times the founding person, like me, used to always try to do all the work, and you just run yourself ragged and you can't do it all. And then you don't compensate yourself, and you end up years down the line, you set up your board in a way where you're trying to handle all this and you can't do it. So the governing board is very important. That's the people who help you do the governing part of it according to the state of Texas.
And the bylaws. And the bylaws that you've written, articles and everything.
So the bylaws are really important, because you say this is what you're going to do, then IRS holds you accountable for doing it that way.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then the board versus the staff. Okay. So after you do, and this is going to be in your bylaws, you clearly state the roles of the board, the board members, the directors, and the staff. Okay. But board members, directors can't get paid. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example. The Tomball Farmers Market, I was a vendor there. Once we decided we was going to start converting to a nonprofit years ago, they asked me, I was the treasurer. Okay. And I was doing my booth there, and I didn't have to pay fees and all that. But once we decided we were going to do this, I stepped down from being a vendor there because I believed in this. I wanted to stay on as a treasurer. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't get any compensation. So it wasn't a conflict of interest. You have to decide at that point. Now, a founder can get paid if they're acting in a staff role, but they give up. This is where it gets tricky. They become a non-voting member. And that's why you need an attorney. Let me tell y'all something. When y'all get to this, and I keep saying attorney, you need an attorney and you need a CPA, and it's somebody that is really pretty much you should get that's not connected to the board, that has experience in this, so they have to protect the interests of the founding member. You need to get an attorney so that when you decide to give up, because giving up your voting right and you're a founding member.
Serious.
Yeah. So that's all I can say on that. You just need to get an attorney so you can be
protect yourself, protect your 501c that you created, gave all these years your love and energy to it. Now somebody comes in there 10 years later and they take it over. It's not
change the passion and the direction you. Yes.
Exactly.
So after you do all of that, you finally can register with the state and the IRS. And the reason why you should get a lot of people do it backwards. They register and then they go and do all of this stuff I just told you ahead. They do it afterwards. If you do all of this stuff now, your paperwork will go through much faster, because the IRS and the state, they will see, oh, this person has it together. They've been doing all of this. They have this paperwork. They have minutes. They can show everything. They didn't just put this together so they can get this grant that we have out here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you file first with the state, and then you turn around, you file a 1023 with the IRS so you can get your 501c3 classification. Okay. Now, once you do that, you draft a fundraising plan, because you've done everything else. And the fundraising plan, this is how you should do it. Base it on, in your business plan, your programs that you want to do. Okay. Because if you do that, then what happens is you'll only go after the grants, the endowments, and the sponsors and the foundations that cater to the program that you want.
Okay.
Then you don't have to recreate new bylaws so you can don't try to fit into a grant so you can get the money, because it's not going to work. Because when you get a grant, when you get endowments, there's documentation you always have to present, showing that you're doing the mission and following through, So that's why your business plan is important, Then
now, let me ask you a quick question that I know has come up before about grants. So you were saying find the grants that match what your passion or what you're doing. How is the best way to find grants that match what you're doing or what you want to do?
I'm glad you asked that question. The best way is, after you set everything up, is hopefully while you were setting up your board, you found a star that comes in and they said they have those connections to go.
Connections. Your board members have connections?
Your connection, that, or there's someone that wants to volunteer and they're connected to those individuals, organizations, and foundations that can they can put you in front of the right people so that you can get those grants. Yes.
And I've been held that too. It's very important who you put on your board. You want to put people on the board who are actively involved in doing things and know people, and they can get you connected and so forth, and know how to do grants and know how to do. So it's not just a person because you like them or, you know, they're a nice person. What can they bring to the board to help you accomplish your goals?
Yes.
And so.
And this is when you become bigger and you hire an executive director and then a program manager. Okay, so first in the beginning, the executive director serves as the person that goes out and gets the funds that you need. So when you interview, like Tomball Farmers Market, we're going to interview for an executive director next year. And that person has to be connected to the ag community, the agriculture community. They have to be heavily connected to the agriculture community because they'll know where all of the ag grants are that we need. Okay. And they have to also be connected to somewhere in the nutrition, children, all of that, because we those are the kind of programs we want. Okay. So then after we get to that point, and see, their salary is going to be based on what they can bring to the table, and their references are, when we look for someone like that, what they've already produced at other things. That's how you look for that person.
Okay.
Then, after you grow even bigger, you're going to need a program, because you're getting all these programs now, all these grants. You're going to need a program director that knows how to manage those programs. Okay. So that is what, when you're putting your grants together, your campaigns and all of that, then those positions line up with that. You have to be keeping that in mind when you're setting up how you're going to do your fundraising and everything. You have to look completely ahead. Don't just go after the grant itself and put all your concentration on bidding on the grant. After you get it, if you don't have the now what, you're going to fail.
Okay. Now what?
You know, and also if you're putting the grant together, if we get this, how are we going to campaign? How are we going to do this? So you're not stuck with this money, and you don't, because let me tell you, they hate when you send money back. Okay. So you need to be able to have a plan to do the things that you're supposed to do. Okay.
Right. And show the proof, and the accountability reports and things like that are all attached to grants. And you can get in big trouble with federal grants if you don't spend the money like you said you were going to do it. Or if you don't know, you need to ask somebody.
Yes. And it's not all about grants, getting grants. Okay. So let me give you an example. Northwest Assistance Ministry, in addition to their grants and their endowments and everything, they have one big fundraiser a year. It's called Jeans and Jewels, or Jeans and Pearls. I forgot what it was. And that's where they do get all of their to fill in where grants and endowments don't. That's where they have their big fundraiser. Red Cross has one too. What's the one they do, the Crohn's disease, and they honor somebody, they honor distinguished women. Okay. Those, you have to, after you get good with the grants and you get that, then you come up with that 1 year fundraiser that you can do that pulls in and make up the difference. You also have your volunteers. That's money on the books. Okay. And it's a lot to this. So what you have to consider though, and I want to say this because and there's going to be references at the end, but the executive board, service board, that's the nonprofit organizations like the SBDC for nonprofits. Every Tuesday, they have a free workshop. If you go to their link, you can register for their workshop and other workshops to learn more about nonprofits. One of the things they say is that it takes 2 years after you get your 501c3 to start getting the money to flow in. It's a commitment, a personal passion commitment that you're going to do. You're going to be sowing your own money and getting sponsors that know they're not going to be able to write it off in the beginning until you get where you're going with it.
Right. And it's called the Executive Service Board.
Yes, it's at the end, the link.
Okay, it's at the link. Let me just tell you guys too, that if you're wanting a copy of this, there's a couple of ways you can get the copy, and just let us know in the chat room what your email is that you want it. I think we probably have looks like it. Yeah, if you just put your email address in the chat, we'll get it to you. Okay, because I want to give Chris the time to finish up the pieces that she wants to do. We might go a little bit over, but we definitely want to get this your main point in there, your contact information and that kind of stuff.
Okay. After you do all of that, you need to set up shop and outline your costs. Okay, because you know your programs, you know how much they're going to cost. You need to lay out your program costs, your salaries, your overhead, your office costs, communication, social media, website. And why is that important? Because then you know how much to bid on a grant. Let me tell you something. Some grants, just, you know, they say one size fit all. No. Some grants are not worth you going after if it's going to cost you money.
Yes,
okay?
Or get you in trouble.
I'll give you a perfect example. Northwest Assistant Ministry. I told you what they go after. When Chris Brown, Rihanna situation, the government did a huge grant for Flight to Fleet. Okay. And we could get the money. Okay. So we bidded on it, and we got to I think it was like 3 million or something like that. Okay. Next year, they said we can get the money, but they wanted us to dedicate half of it to more social workers for the grant. Now, why is that important? Okay, most grants only want you to spend 10% or less on administration.
Exactly.
That's payroll and everything. You got to get the other from endowments and all of that. Okay. So for them to want us to spend half on social workers and everything, when that grant is over, we got these 3 people offices we built out, moved people around.
Right.
It's not worth it. You know?
Exactly. It's not worth it. And some grants are not worth it taking, is what you're saying. Just because a grant is there and it's a lot of money, it's not worth it. Your time and effort, especially if you cannot do it, or especially if they're asking you to do something unethical or something that goes against your beliefs and whatever, or that's going to cause you more headache than it is to benefit.
That does not go back to your purpose,
your original purpose.
Mission, and your passion, and when you start going off the road. That's why a business plan is so important.
Right.
Let me tell you, it is so important because the IRS, I think that's the last one, the compliance.
Go ahead.
You have to file a 990. Okay. You have to have board meetings and minutes. But more importantly, when I was a grant accountant, I was audited. I had audits at least once a month from Harris County. We had grants from Harris County, City of Houston, federal, and then private. And so once a month, somebody was auditing us. Okay.
Wow.
So every month when we received checks, I had to break down. I had a spreadsheet of general administrative overhead and administration. Okay. Like this, so much was the light bill went to this grant. So much of this salary went here. I had to attach all of those bills, go through the payroll roster, delete, highlight it, mark out everybody's names, but show their pay and how much went to this grant, how much went to that grant. It's work.
It's a lot of work.
And then people,
and that's why I was going to ask you too, because we're getting close to the end. But I know you have you're doing accounting for your own personal real job, but so are you doing any consulting or personal one-on-one with people who might want to have? Because I know that's the biggest part, is setting up the budget and keeping the spreadsheets and things filled out, set up. And do you help people get their structure set up?
I do. Okay. I take on clients, but I do limit. Like I have 4 now that I'm working with. And because I'm just doing their QuickBooks for their business. Right. But I do have like 2 that I'm writing business plans for. So first thing I always ask the person, when do you need it? If they say yesterday, I say, okay.
It was nice knowing you, huh?
Right. Because I don't want to waste your time if you need it yesterday.
Yeah. Then you should have called me last year. Okay.
Yeah. But if you say, I have 6 months or whatever, And then my next question is, are you going to participate? Because let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's your business. It's
Yeah,
your
you got to
nonprofit,
get in
your
there and
business.
work.
I'm not
Exactly.
going to write your mission, vision. You got to tell me I can help you. We get through it. You're going to have a finished plan when I finish, and I'll put the financials together. But there's some meat and potato that I'm going to need from you before I can
From the
season
beginning.
it. Yes.
Exactly. And listen, guys, if you do, we have her website here, pamperedsisters.com, and she has some other products that she does in her own business. You can look at that. We'll have to have her back again to talk about Pampered Sisters. I didn't want to get off into that and get it confused with the 501c3 because I know we had so much to cover, but we did cover a lot, and I think we got a lot to go from. If you get all of these things done, then you're ready to start a business. But if you don't have these things done, you really want to reconsider actually starting a business. I have been very hesitant because I haven't done my work yet. And Chris has already told me what all I need to do. And like I said, I haven't done it. I admit I didn't do it. So I'm not going to waste your time until I get that part done. And so don't give up on me. I'm going to do it.
I'm not.
Okay. All right. Well, Chris, it's been my pleasure to have you today. You're an amazing, phenomenal woman. We want to thank God for you and what you do and give back to the kingdom. So listen, guys, if you want that information, if you just give me your email, we'll get everything to you. And you see her email is there. You can look her up. And if you look her up, then you need to have, your stuff ready, and you need to be willing to pay for her services as well. Right. Thank you, Chris. And thank you guys for joining me today. Remember, like, click, share, comment, and share this with somebody else so that they can start their own business, be an entrepreneur. And that's the way you're going to gain wealth. We love you. We'll see you next week at 3 for tea with Lady O.